I like my coffee how I like my metal. Bitter and French. You have come to the right place, and welcome to a review for Gojira's latest album, Fortitude. It's been since 2015, when they released their album Magma, that we've gotten any new music from them. So, of course, naturally, being a metalhead, Gojira is one of my favorite metal bands. I was really excited to hear what we have in store this time around. And, I'll be danged. This is it's a pretty good album. Now, I'm going to be totally upfront with you. I really did not like Magma. I also did not really even like L'Enfant Sauvage. I did not like either of those two albums all that much. I think the only songs I liked from them were The Cell, The Axe, Mouth of Kala, and maybe Stranded. Besides that, just complete snoozers, in my opinion, unfortunately. But this time around, we get something a little more diverse, something a little more Gojira-y. I mean, like the old school kind of Gojira, like The Way of All Flesh, From Mars to Sirius. We get a little something more like that this time around, which I am so stoked by. As a matter of fact, I'm just telling you right off the bat right now, this is like the first album I've actually liked since The Way of All Flesh. Yeah, so anyway, this is like my most highly anticipated album of the year. Let's just jump right into it, alright? The album kicks off with one of their singles they had previously released called Born for One Thing. Oh yeah, this song proves one thing. It proves that Gojira was born for one thing, and that was to make amazing metal music. This really reminds me of The Way of All Flesh, but almost with the vocal style of Magma. Although I did like the lower growls that Joe Duplantier was able to hit on this album in spots. Even if they were pitched down electronically, they still sounded really epic. And holy crap, Mario, dude, the drumming on this thing is just top tier, next level. Very heavy, very driving. Also, the guitar work is quite nice. I really like that main riff, as well as all the different little switch ups that they do. Especially at the 340 mark, we get that switch up that nobody asked for. But I don't think any of us are complaining. We actually all needed that. And the slides on this track, oh man, come on. I mean, Gojira is kind of known for doing the whole pick scratching and sliding type stuff, but this album really kicks that up even further. Just very, very scrumptious. Now, overall, I really just like this track because you can hear all the work and the effort that went into just kind of constructing it. It feels very meticulously put together. It's just very well realized, with a multitude of tasteful and really just epic switch-ups. Really liked just everything about this track. The video is really cool as well. Definitely one of my favorite tracks on the album for sure. Then next up, we got track 2, Amazonia. The intro starts off with just this tribal grinding riff accented by flutes, it sounds like, and like some chants and almost like some shakers of some kind that I can kind of hear. Very tribal, and everything in this song is just really loud, really unforgiving, but it's also melodically pleasing. I don't know how to put that, but it's very heavy, but without being so heavy to where you're not getting any melody. It's very melodious. It's very good, and especially during that chorus. I love that riff that hits notes. It kind of reaches certain notes and certain peaks that you just wouldn't expect to hear in that spot, if that makes any sense. You wouldn't normally hear notes hit in that particular sequence, which I really appreciated. Very, very, very experimental. And then about halfway through the song, you get this sick drum fill by Mario, and then followed by some just very primal growls, and then also some nice cleans, complemented by some wailing guitar strings, which it all sounds great, very nice. And now, given the subject matter of the song about the fires in the Amazon rainforest, I'd say that this song's sound or its vibe, it fits really well. Just listening to the song, I can just imagine myself kind of returning home to find my entire area just decimated by a fire, and then kind of just sifting through the ashes and remnants while listening to this track. It gives you that mental picture. Very cool. And overall, it's just very tribal, very dark, yet melodic, and it packs a solid punch right to the sternum lyrically. Now, this reminds me of something that could have fit on their album The Link, just with how primal and tribal it really sounds. Super just grimy and really awesome. Okay, track 3, Another World. Not gonna lie, probably it's just it's the most generic sounding Gojira song on this album, to be quite honest with you. It is kind of reminiscent lyrically and kind of instrumentally of their song World to Come from Mars to Sirius. It's kind of like World to Come 2.0, if you will. And I don't know, it's just kind of the same riff just being pounded all throughout with the same kind of saturated, drowned out vocals, like something you'd hear on Magma. Just very drowned out, way in the background. Look, Joe's voice doesn't need this many filters, guys. Just put it in the forefront, man. I want to hear Joe's just go off. And just, unfortunately, it's just one of the few Gojira songs in general throughout their entire discography that I'm just really not that crazy about, to be honest with you. Just left me a little bit unsatisfied. Wish it would have been a little more elaborate, a little more complex. But I mean, whatever. I guess it's fine for just, quick head bob or whatever. I'd play it for your grandma in the nursing home. Track 4, Hold On. Seriously, hold on. Hold on to your butts. Beautiful opening vocals on this one with some just kind of jangling, ritualistic sounding percussions that all kind of lull you into this just huge, crushing riff. It snaps you out of your trance as soon as it hits. And just, I really, really appreciated the artistic lyricism. It's very artsy of Joe on this track. Just very well put. The subject matter is just really well put. And it kind of gives you like almost a hopeful tone. You're kind of listening to this and you're like, this sounds like it should be kind of dismal and dark, but it actually sounds kind of hopeful. From a technical standpoint, will this song blow me away? No, not even close to blowing me away, but who cares? This track, it fits right where it is on the album, and it's just a nice track. I really do enjoy this track. Hold On. Track 5, Newfound. Here we go. Definitely. This song gives me a newfound hope in Gojira going forward. This one quickly gets you headbanging and come on. And later it gets your fist pumping in the air. Just the chorus on this one is killer. It's killer. It's almost like surreal. It feels like you just climbed a mountain or something, or like just crossed the finish line of this like 10-mile race. Then halfway through the song, we get this like really nice reprieve where it just opens up and gets all airy. Just about gave me goosebumps, to be honest with you. And then that moment kind of lasts for a good minute until we're then thrust into yet another driving, pummeling riff with just these victorious sounding harmonies. Very triumphant sounding track. Definitely one of my newfound favorite tracks of the album. Okay, next track, Fortitude. It's just their, it's kind of their forte. They always do an intermission track, if you will, like Unicorn, or I forget what the other ones are even called. It just sounds like a few guys kind of clinking some rocks together, maybe clacking some sticks. Whatever. I've never been a fan of kind of these pointless intermission tracks. So next, okay. So that was actually the intro to the next track. Yeah, that kind of caught me off guard first time I listened, sorry. But anyway, can we acknowledge in this next song the chant, the sweet guitar licks by Christian on this baby? I mean, come on, dude, really. He's shown on this one. And especially halfway in with that just sick guitar solo. Anyway, this is a very, 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 very simple track, especially for Gojira. But it does have some great, clean vocals from Joe, and really just kind of an uplifting vibe all throughout. I don't know, definitely not my favorite track on the album. Just very simple, just kind of doesn't really scratch that itch for me, but it is just kind of a nice, groovy little track. All right, Sphinx, 2 words. Pick scratches. Anyway, come on with these vocals, Mr. Joe. I mean, dude, this is unreal. I mean, his vocals on this one are actually really insane. You got the low growls, you got the high, clean vocals. He's got all the bases covered on this song and just the whole album. But moving on, just as far as song structure on Sphinx here, unfortunately, it left a little something to be desired for me. I don't know. It feels like there's just something amiss. There's something that needs to be added, just a little spice, a little pizzazz or something. I really can't put my finger on it, but it also seems like it kind of just followed the same pattern as you know, a handful of the other ones thus far felt a bit one-dimensional. I don't know. Yes, it's very heavy, but just we needed a bit more besides that, in my opinion. I don't know. Just besides the vocals, just really didn't do much for me, unfortunately. Okay, next track here, Into the Storm, one of the other singles that they had released. One word, Gent. Loved it. Loved that mechanical riff that just pounds away in the background that leads into the melodious chorus, which kind of gives me a similar feeling to the chorus of Newfound on this album. Yet again, and kind of get the idea that Gojira is just kind of following some of the same formulas up to this point. We get a switch up halfway through. It did, I don't know, didn't do anything for me, honestly, the switch up. Definitely the weakest one on the album. They're kind of following the same formula to a T on each track thus far. Yeah, this was definitely the weakest switch up I've heard thus far on the album. I did like the riff. The chorus was nice, but it doesn't really end up being too out there or experimental. It's just, I don't know, just nothing really struck me as like, wow, about the song. It's an okay song. It's okay. Alrighty, next up we have The Trails. Now, if you go to the 2:34 mark, 2 minutes and 34 seconds mark, on their song Wolf Down the Earth, from their album The Way of All Flesh, this riff sounds just like that riff, but kind of sped up. And just, I noticed that right off the bat. I'm just like, this reminds me of their other riff. And I had to find it, and that's the one it was. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm just pointing that out. An issue I'm having at this point into the album is that you can instantly tell how each song will go from the very start. And there's just not much in between up to this point. It's just either really heavy or soft. I don't know. Just, I'm not a huge fan of that. I wish there was some more in between. Not sure if that made any sense, but that's just kind of how it felt to me, you know, at this point into the album when I was listening to it. And just Gojira, you know, as a band, as they've kind of gotten older, it seems like they'd rather just kind of pound away at one riff per song as opposed to just having a bunch of different riffs all throughout the song, like they used to, like on From Mars to Sirius or Terra Incognita, something like that. Just, I wish they would have been a little more out there and experimental, you know, up to this point on the album. So anyway, you know, let's continue with this song, The Trails. It kind of did nothing for me, unfortunately. I found it pretty boring, to be honest with you, and that kind of hurts to say. I wanted to like it, but just nothing struck me here. Kind of just dark and depressing. I'm not a huge, big, like, doom and gloom kind of guy. Wasn't really, you know, pulled in by this track all that much. You know, you get some decent vocal parts, but just percussively and guitar-wise, it just felt very bare bones. Nothing here. And obviously it was going for more of like this atmospheric, kind of dark, dense tone. It didn't land. It did not land with me. Okay, the final track. The one I'm sure most of you, at least, have been waiting for. Grind. And it sure has been a grind to get to this song, Grind. Oh boy, here we go. I mean, they finally put a mind-blowing track on the album. Literally mind-blowing, face-melting. And they put it as the last track. Come on, Gojira. Come on. Like, where was this track like 6 tracks ago? Yeah, I'm not too happy with the way that they kind of held out on me, you know, this long into the album. But definitely, this is it. This is it, Chief. Come on. Ridiculously heavy and very experimental. Very experimental. Really reminded me of a From Mars to Sirius cut. With all of the switch-ups and all the different kind of ebbs and flows, highs and lows that they hit on this track. Just really, it's kind of all over the place, but really, you know, you can tell it's very intricately put together. And honestly, I could tell from the first 5 seconds that this was already going to be my favorite song on the album. And I knew it was already the best song on the album, to be honest with you. Mario goes nuts. He goes nuts on here. Joe also gets down and dirty on here. And goodness gracious, dude, Chris, dude, what's gotten into you, man? Dude is shredding like a wild animal over here. The licks are tasty as can be, man. And especially around halfway in. It's hard to even like list everything I like about this song. It's almost too much, but I'll give it a shot. Really, I like the ultra crispy double bass that basically gives your brain a massage and beats up your ears for lunch money. I love the classic Gojira, like kind of like death metal growls and screams on here. Just filthy, especially at 2 minutes and 25 seconds in. And just, it was something fresh on the album. Just the absolute non-linearity of it is just really different and way more elaborate sounding than like intro verse, chorus bridge, etc. Just, it didn't feel like it had that structure. It felt way different, and I don't know, it just sounded way more intricately built and constructed than the other songs on the album. At least that's just kind of the feeling that I got. Gave it more time to marinate, maybe. But yeah, I mean, we end off here with Grind, which is just, it's up there. It's got to be up there with some of my favorite Gojira songs ever. It's really heavy and just very complex. I really enjoyed it. Definitely something that could fit on any one of their past albums. I mean, whether you put it on The Way of All Flesh, From Mars to Sirius, The Link, it would fit. It would fit on any single one. It has just a ton of different sounds to it. So overall, there were definitely some lows on this album. Like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of Sphinx, the Trails. Into the Storm was okay. Fortitude is just, a couple guys clinking some, pebbles together. Another World was just, good for a quick little head bob. I don't know, whatever. But my favorite tracks on the album for sure are Bored for One Thing, Hold On, Newfound, and Grind. Amazonia was, a close contender for being one of my favorites, but the other songs kind of beat it out just by a small margin. Also, I forgot to mention, I hope you like my artwork over here. I know, it's beautiful. Just admit it. Admit that it's beautiful. Now, out of 20 points, my scale here at The Right Place is 20 points for albums. Out of 20 points, I'd probably give this... it's tough. I'd probably give it a 12. A 12 out of 20. I'd probably give it 11.5, 12. They're both the same. Definitely better than Magma. Definitely better than L'Enfant Sauvage. It didn't completely blow my mind, but it was a pretty good album. I thought it was pretty good. Definitely makes me excited for what else they'll have coming out, in the future. It definitely seemed on this album that they had more to say, in terms of like kind of their viewpoints. They definitely have some points lyrically, and just their lyrics here, really artsy, really artistic. They fit the instrumentals really well, just very earthy, very kind of, grimy, sludgy. And while a few songs here and there felt kind of flat for me, it stayed at a consistent note until it hit Grind, and then just kind of shot off the chart for me. Like I said, first 5 seconds, I'm like, that's it. That's the one. This is the one that I've been waiting for on the album. So, yep, so Grind, by far my favorite song. If I had to pick an absolute least favorite, I'd probably say The Trails. Just did absolutely nothing for me. Found it pretty boring. This has been my review of Fortitude by Gojira. Besides that, what are your favorite tracks? Was this review garbage? Am I a loser? Let me know in the comments below. You have come to the right place, and you are now leaving the right place. Stay safe out there, guys.